Good morning, Emmaus. Welcome to chapel. This is definitely different than we normally do, but I'm so happy to get a chance to speak with you today and do chapel, even though I'm here in basically an empty church, and I'm reminded of the little song that we used to sing, and it goes like this. It says, here's the church, here's the steeple, open the doors and see all the people. Well, there are no people in here, so it's more like, here's the church, here's the steeple, open the doors and see no people because you're all at home. But hopefully you're watching this morning. I don't know if you're in your bedroom, I don't know if you're eating breakfast, whatever, but we want to bring the Word of God to you today. And I don't know if you can hear the bell in the background, but it's like we're getting started for a school day. It's a little different. I'm a little more casual today, obviously. Don't have to get dressed, but it's a wonderful day to talk about Jesus, to talk about the resurrection. We're still in the Easter season, and it's so unusual this year. It's the first year of my life I did not go to church on Easter Sunday. And I've had some very memorable Easter Sundays. A number of years ago, I got to celebrate Easter Sunday at the Castle Church in Wittenberg, where Martin Luther nailed up the 95 Theses. But this year was in some ways even more special because we weren't in church together, we weren't singing, we weren't hunting for Easter eggs and those kinds of things. We had a chance maybe just to focus more on the story of the resurrection. So I want to get back to that. It is still the Easter season. A few weeks ago, I was at Starbucks before this all started, and I was talking to one of the baristas. She knows my order. She has it all ready, everything before that. And she said, "Oh, are you guys on spring break yet?" And then she stopped herself and said, wait, you guys don't go on spring break, do you? You do Easter vacation. Because I've told her that. She knows that. I've actually spread that news around before that we don't take a spring break. We have Easter vacation. Of course, this year, we had a spring break. We took the first week at home in spring break, and it was kind of anticlimactical last week then, because normally we lead up to Easter Sunday and the resurrection, and we go crazy the next week. We have so much fun, and we just love the fact that Jesus rose again and that we get salvation through him. Well, I want to bring it back to the theme for the year. Jesus, our superhero. Joshua 1:9, I'll remind you here, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. And maybe that's more important right now than the entire rest of the school year, because we're all in different places. And when literally going to the grocery store or to the drug store or to the market or something actually might put us in danger, maybe it's even more important for us to remember that God is with us at all times. The Easter story is full of heroes, obviously. Jesus is the superhero, right? He rose from the dead, and with the power of God the Father and with the Holy Spirit, through his power, we get to celebrate that resurrection as well. We are Christians because of what Christ did, and the Holy Spirit works faith in our hearts. So that's obvious, okay? God the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But there are other heroes involved in this story too. And if you remember back to some of the earlier chapels this year, we talked about heroes of faith in the Bible. We've got Moses and Abraham and David. I think I did a chapel a few months ago about Paul. And those are certainly heroes of the Bible that we look up to, and we follow their example. So if we look at the story of the resurrection, who's involved? Well, you've got the disciples. And the disciples, for the most part, are not exactly heroic all the time. We get to hear a little bit about them as Jesus' friends and supporters that travel with him all over the countryside for 3 years, and they aren't always the best examples. Sometimes they doubt things, they question, they don't understand, but there are times when they have been heroic. I think of Peter, the rock, and when everyone's asking about, what is Jesus, who is Jesus, and he steps up and says, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God," and it's just a powerful statement. But then even Peter falls away, and he denies Jesus, and he runs away, and the disciples all scatter, and they see Jesus on the cross, and they disappear, and they basically go and hide in a room. So who are the heroes on Easter morning? The women. The women, Mary Magdalene and the women are the heroes of Easter morning. They get up in the morning and they go to prepare Jesus' body. I mean, think about that for just a minute. A dead body's been in the tomb. They're not afraid to do it. They get up, they got the spices they needed, and they're going to see Jesus, in his tomb. And the Bible is ambiguous a little bit on this. They mention a bunch of ladies, actually. They say Mary Magdalene, and then it says Mary the mother of James, and then one translation, Mary the mother of Jesus, and then there's someone called Salome, and there's one called Joanne. And so there are a bunch of women who are going to the tomb on Easter morning. And as they're getting there, they are wondering, wait, what about that big old stone that is in front of the tomb? What are we going to do? Who's going to roll the stone away? But it's like they don't care. They figure something's going to happen. They get there, and of course, the stone is rolled away already. And they are surprised. They think that Jesus, they knew Jesus was going to rise, or he had told them they were going to rise, and here was proof. He was not there anymore. So the Bible tells us that they ran right back. People do a lot of running in the Bible here. Because now Peter and James, they run to the tomb also. And it's kind of funny because they look around and they're like, yep, I guess he's gone. I guess he rose. And then they go right back. But the women stick around. At least Mary sticks around. And she's like, I wonder what else is going on. She's looking around and she sees the angel. And think about that. There's only a handful of people in the Bible who have seen angels, who have actually been in the presence of angels and spoken to angels. And Mary was one of those. And the angel said, "Why are you seeking the living among the dead? He's not here. He rose just as he said he would." And so she gets ready to go, and she's heading back to, and all of a sudden, another person appears. And he seems like the gardener, maybe, the caretaker, it'd be like the janitor or something like that today. And she's looking at him, and she says, "Sir, do you know what happened to Jesus? Have they taken him somewhere?" And again, Jesus speaks to Mary, and she says, "Mary, it's me." And she recognizes Jesus. And then she runs back again. She runs back to tell the disciples. And of course, from then on, we know that Jesus spent time with the disciples and spent 40 days. It's just such an exciting part of the story. And Mary is the one who really was involved with this. I think of her as a superhero on that morning of Easter, the very first Easter. I'm thinking about people, though, here, now, in our lives, and people aren't always super heroic. Sometimes we're heroic by just doing the things we're supposed to do. Sometimes we go above and beyond, and you guys can do that too in your life. Even as children, at home. And I'm thinking that a lot of what you do right now, hanging out at home, doing school, being on Zoom, playing with your siblings, hopefully helping at home. And I am reminded of a Bible passage that I have hanging up on my bulletin board, and my 7th graders memorize this one every year, and this is Galatians 6, verse 10. It says, "Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good or show love to everyone," to all people, "but especially to those fellow members of the family of believers." And again, I talked to my 7th graders about this being their classmates, their schoolmates, the people that they meet every day, the ones they're around most often. But especially, I think this should be your family, the people that you're at home with right now. And I know it's been weeks already, and maybe you're starting to irritate each other a little bit. But now is the time to think about treating your family members, your mom and your dad, your siblings, if you are lucky enough to have siblings. Treat them well. So some of the things we do are not so much heroic, they're just things that we do in our normal life because we're Christians. We treat everyone with love if we can. But look for those opportunities in daily life to do things that go above and beyond and could be considered heroic. I'm thinking of a former student that I have, and she was a student of mine almost 20 years ago, and she is now a doctor in South Korea. And she has been a physician there for about the last 10 years. And I reached out to her recently to see how things are going, and she's on the front lines, but doing a good job of taking care of the pandemic there in South Korea. So in some ways, she's a hero. She's heroically helping others with what she's chosen as a profession. I want to close today by showing you a couple of photographs. It's actually one giant painting. It's a painting of the resurrection that we have seen at Forest Lawn Memorial Park when we go there for our field trips. And I wanted to show it to you in 3 parts because it's so dramatic. You have to realize this painting is like 100 feet wide by 90 feet tall. And it's just amazing when you see it there in the theater. But the first part of the painting just shows the empty tomb and the angel sitting there. That's what the women, Mary Magdalene, would have seen first. And then as they look a little closer, the second painting shows Jesus, and he is in his full glory, resurrected glory, and he's standing looking off into the heavens. And then when you see the rest of the painting, it's just an amazing sight because it represents millions and millions and millions of people ascending to heaven, up in heaven. You'll see mansions if you look closely. You'll see people of all different races and nationalities and colors and everyone. It represents what we call the entire community of saints, all believers. And it's so awesome. I wanted you to see this because the resurrection is for everyone. One of the best things about the Easter season is the music. I love singing Easter songs, and this is one of my favorite. It's called At the Lamb's High Feast We Sing. At the Lamb's high feast we sing, praise to our victorious King, who has washed us in the tide flowing from his pierced side. Alleluia. Mighty victim from the sky, hell's fierce powers beneath you lie. You have conquered in the fight, you have brought us life and light. Alleluia. Now no more can death appall, now no more the grave enthrall. You have opened paradise, and your saints in you shall rise. Alleluia. Easter triumph, Easter joy, this alone can sin destroy. From sin's power, Lord, set us free, newborn souls in you to be. Alleluia.